Hey guys, welcome back. Today is Wednesday, March 5th. It is about to be 3 o'clock right now. This is the private mentoring session with Mike. So I'm going to set this room up real quick and then I'm going to send him the link to join in. If you guys want to sit in and spectate, feel free. But yeah, this is a private mentoring session with Mike. Send the link with Mike. And once he gets in, we will get started. All right, so I'll be back when he gets in here. Hey Mike, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Great.
How was your trip?
It was good. It was a little too long. I typically don't like to go on vacation for like more than I guess 3 or 4 days. And I think the flight there was just brutal. So that's probably the last time I fly into the Caribbean for a while. It's like a 14-hour flight. It's
Oh,
crazy.
really?
Yeah, because there's no direct flights from the West Coast. So I had to fly to like Boston and then from Boston back down to the Caribbean. So it was like a long trip. And then a 10-hour flight back. So it was just back and forth.
That's a long, yeah, it's long.
Yeah, at that point, I was like, I might as well went to like, Europe or Asia because it's like another couple hours and be in another whole different world.
I'm 100% with you on there. I don't personally like doing that. I did one right after we did our first call, and it was I was gone for 10 days, and I was like, man, this sucks. It's just you just I don't know. For me, I lose just too much time when I'm away from whatever, and it's just I don't know. It was a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, I like having a routine and I like to be busy. So it's like out there, I wasn't even able to trade like how I normally do because I'm like so limited with my screen space and stuff. So I was about ready to come back. So I'm glad I'm back. I like to be like, some people hate working and they like to go on vacation. For me, I'm like the opposite. I actually like to work since like what I do is pretty fun. And then traveling is just I get bored of it and I get tired of it. And I feel like it throws my whole world off. And now here
Well,
I am.
it looked like you'd gone, I don't know, somewhere not all that long before, you and the wife, and looked like you guys had a good time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I travel this month. I've been traveling pretty much like every week. So like in the first week of April, I was in Vegas. Second week of April, I was in this town called Oaxaca in Mexico, and then
Hmm.
I was just in DR last week, and then next week I'm going to Houston. So like I'm kind of traveled out. I'm ready to stay home for a while. Probably after that.
Isn't Houston your competition?
Yeah, Houston's the competition, so I'm going to be there for just a couple days, like basically Friday, Saturday. And I'll fly back like Sunday morning. So. Hopefully after that I'll be good and I'll just, be back on track with what I've been doing here at home.
So I wanted to just, I want to be pretty concise on this one. I mean, honestly, for the probably first time ever in any trading that I've done, I've put some serious time into this and really, I mean, I've watched that video that you and I did, that you did that I was on. I couldn't even tell you how many times I even wrote down exactly where you were going over the strategy. I got my own cheat sheet and I I get a big portion of it, but I want to what I really wanted to do is like today I took three trades and I was 2 for 3.
Okay.
Um, and I've actually, believe it or not, I've been just conversing a little bit with Barack.
Gotcha.
Um, just not he's actually super genuine and super easy. Like he would give me a couple of pointers of like where I missed some stuff. Like, and he even one of them he said, Sean will take those trades. I just won't because they make me a little bit more nervous. Like for example, um now, I mean, it wouldn't have when you have. I don't remember what he called it, but if you've got the momentum's red, but the candle that closes in there is a green candle. I don't know what that's called.
Yeah, it's an invalid momentum. Like I had a question about that earlier too from another guy who was basically asking about the trade this morning, like the buy entry that happened over here at like I think 6:30, somewhere around here. Yeah, 6:37. He was asking about that same question. Like, is this an entry that is valid? In a lot of for this specific type of candle, like you just mentioned, it doesn't matter for the MPSV2 that specific strategy, but for other strategies, it does matter because that's where the entry would happen. Since the entry doesn't happen on that specific candle, we look for the confirmation after. So in this situation, it's pretty irrelevant because whether it's red or it's green it's going to confirm later. So even if it was red and it pulls back a little bit, the entry actually happens down here. And this is what would really matter. It's just we're using the momentum so that we know we have some sort of bias to follow. to just only look for buys, and then vice versa. When you get a sell momentum, we're using that mainly just to look for some sells, but our entry doesn't necessarily happen on the specific momentum candle. Because there's going to be other strategies where the entry does happen on the momentum signal. And for those specifically, it's relevant because you don't want to be getting in when price is going the opposite way. So yeah, I had that question actually come up today from another person in the group. So glad you brought
Yeah, it was just it. And again, and he said you will take those on that one. And he goes, I just don't. And I said, okay, because there was a couple of them that he and I had talked about with some screenshots and stuff. And one of them was just that, an invalid momentum. And then the trade lost.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, and that does happen. Those types of signals don't really come up very often, but like you said, when they do come up, more times than others, they'll probably lose because what happens when you get something like this is that you don't have the candle movement in direction of actual momentum. You're kind of getting like a mixed signal there. It's like the momentum's telling you that price is going up, but price is actually going the other way. And what happens with this sometimes, and the reason why, like, Brock's been around with me from like the beginning. He's been around for, I think, 8 years now with me.
That's what
Um,
he said.
yeah, he's been around for a while. So, like, when these candles come up, what usually happens is it's initially a green candle, and then at the last second, it ends up spiking down really hard. So this was probably green, like, for the good portion of this candle movement, and then say at the last 10 seconds, it just came down super hard, and that's why the momentum here came up opposite. So, and I think that's what happened because this is at 6:30 when the market opened, and that's usually where a lot of the market manipulation starts. You get the spikes, you get the whipsaws where price kind of goes up and then it comes back down. And I think that's kind of what happened here. Price was initially pushing to the upside and then it came down really hard.
Yeah, so I wanted to just run past the three trades I took today and tell me what I did right or wrong. Now, two of them won, so yeah, that's right, but that doesn't necessarily mean I did it right. And so I
Okay.
was hoping to do that, and then I wanted to kind of find out what other confluences you use to in try and stack the odds more in your favor, right? Because I it feels for me like I've got to get some confidence in some wins. Like today was great. I was 2 for 3, and the one loss I took, I only took a $35 loss because it went up a little bit and I moved my stop loss up, and I did not want to give away what I had done today. So the first one I took was literally a 13-second trade, and it was at 751.02.
751.02. Let's go over there. So let's replay to 751. Gotcha. Okay. So looking at this right here, let's just go over the criteria. So starting off, you have a momentum signal here. You have price tracing up a bit, and then price came back down. So looking at this here, there's a couple of things that I would probably just like from a bird's eye view from staring at it right away. I could kind of see that price was consolidating. This isn't something that you need to know or something that you need to like, really focus on. But for me personally, when I see market consolidating like this, you probably see me do this on the live. I'll draw like a box here and I'll draw a box here. And then I would say something like, I'm probably not going to take anything here until it breaks out of here and confirms. So just like from a bird's eye view, not that this had any effect on your specific analysis, but just like looking at this here, I do see some consolidation. So I personally would maybe be like, okay, I want to stop and not trade around here. The reason why another confluence that would turn me away from taking this trade is the specific time of entry. So this entry was at 7:51. And usually, as we get closer to 8 o'clock, the volatility starts to die down quite a bit. And you can see it kind of started to die down here. This is why the consolidation started playing out. So usually I try to get my entries pretty early in the session. And then like if you ever watch like, when I'm done trading, I'm usually done looking for entries around like 7:30. 7:30, I'm usually in my 1 or 2 entries for the day. And then I usually keep doing my analysis, but you typically don't see me take any entries a little later in the session. This is only from like the stats that I have because, we've been basically tracking the entries. And what I noticed is that after 7:30, the volatility starts to get really flat. I mean, it probably got flat a little earlier. So it looks like the volatility started to go sideways around like 7:20. So right here, it started going sideways. The volatility was still high, but the directional movement of market was kind of flattened out. This doesn't always happen, but from my experience, I usually start to see that the market tend to flatten out around like 7:30 up until 8. So that's just an extra that I would put in there when looking at your entry. But looking at the actual strategy in general, or the requirements, for the most part, it looks good. I just don't remember where the news was. So let me see if I can mark up news here. Maybe your entry was around news area. Let me see. There was news at 7 o'clock, which was right here. There was news at, I believe, 6:45, which was right here. And there was news at 7:30, which was right here. If I remember correctly, I think those are the 3 news events. There was another news event, I believe, at 5:15 today. And I'm just marking these up because these will fall under red flags. Today was the 5th. Yeah, there was news at 5:15. Right there. Oops. That's cool. All right, so let's go back and review your entry. So looking at your entry right here, your entry happened, right here at 7:51. So looking at the criteria, and I'll take this box off because this box is not relevant. It's just an additional, I guess, type of structure that I would just not typically look to trade in. But with
You're
that,
basically just showing support and resistance, and it's kind of consolidating, right? That's what you're doing with that box.
exactly, yeah. So I was showing that price was kind of bouncing between here and consolidating between this, like, I guess, like makeshift support and resistance. In a situation like this, I would typically want to wait for it to maybe break and retest, like past the structure. But you don't have to do that. I mean, that's just, it's just from my experience. I like to be a lot more careful than others. So for this here, this is what I would probably look for. And then on top of that, I'm like, okay, it's getting closer to 8 o'clock. So at this point, I'm like, okay, this is probably a good time to maybe just watch instead of taking the entry. But with that set aside, your entry here without taking that analysis into play, you have a sell signal here, price retraces up, it closes right back down below on this red candle, which is a 7:51 candle. Looking at your entry right here, so there's a couple of things here that that just point out to me where I wouldn't take this trade. The main thing is that it's considered a red flag down here. See how this candle here, the confirmation candle is touching the pink lines down here. So these are considered red flags to me. The reason for that is because price tends to get manipulated around previous news price. So you can kind of see over here, if you look back, I'll delete this. I'll delete this. So if you look back over here, see how price, whenever it comes back to these pink lines, it just kind of bounces off them. So this would kind of point me in a direction and not take a trade here, because you can see every time price comes down to these pink lines, these are the news events from today. Price tends to just bounce directly off it.
So I don't have those pink lines on my chart, so I wouldn't have even seen those.
Yeah, you wouldn't see them. The only way you would see them is if you mark them up yourself, or if you were on the live session. For me during
I was
live,
on the live, but I didn't. I'm still trying to follow along on what's going on there most of the time.
okay, yeah. So if you ever want to mark a news price is considered red flag. Usually what I do is I'll go to the news, either my FX book, or I'll go to Forex Factory, and I'll look at what news events here are coming up for the day. So all the US events, basically there's one here at 5:15, 6:45, 7, and 7:30. The reason why I mark these up is because when these news events come up, they tend to have an effect on the US market because they're US news events. So if you ever want to look these up, you can pull up the website. And then what I typically do on the live session is I'll just mark them up. So before we get to these price points or these actual points, I'll have like a blue line usually marked up here, and everyone's kind of looking for these too, because what happens around these times in these areas is you want to avoid taking entries around them, and you also want to avoid taking entries where the news happens, because that's usually where like unusual market reactions happen. So First one happened right here at 6:45. Second one happened right here at 7. Third one happened right here at 7:30. And the one that happened pre-market was over here at 5:15. So I guess the main thing that I would kind of that would probably deter me from taking this trade is that it is at a red flag. There's a couple ways to identify them as red flags. One of them is if your entry candle is touching the red flags. So basically any of these horizontal lines, pink line right here, purple line, pink, pink, pink. If your entry candle is touching any of them, that's like already a red flag for me, and I wouldn't take any trades around that area. The second way to implement this into your analysis is if your profit target has to pass through the red lines, or not the red lines, the pink lines. If your profit has to, if you have to pass through these lines to reach your profit target, that again right there is a problem, because like I said earlier, right here, whenever price comes down, it bounces off it, right?
Well, and that's one that Barack and I actually talked about, like because I've got all the K2s marked on there, the session highs, lows, and what have you. He goes, if your profit has to go into those, you got to be careful about them. But you know what? This is the one that I did actually screw up, because 750 was what I made the confirmation candle, which actually closed at 689, and the trend candle closed at 687. So the I actually just got lucky on that one, and I realized that after I went back.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I mean, my entry point, I didn't get filled until, um, what did I get filled at? It just showed me that. That does, oh, 685. So, I mean, I didn't get filled till it was lower, but nonetheless, it wasn't, I screwed that one up, but I got lucky on it. So if that candle, confirmation candle, had a close below, then okay, I followed the strategy, right? But the next one, the next entry I took was, and again, probably not a time you would have taken one, but I hit it again, was at 807.
So okay, let me see. 807, which is yeah. So yeah, like you said with your previous entry, that happens to me a lot sometimes. So you were probably waiting for it to close, and it was probably below it, and as soon as it closed, you probably try to enter into it, and that's when the this thing kind of shot up, and it ended up making it not an actual entry. That happens to me a lot too. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, the only thing here that I would say, which would be kind of a problem, would be the red flags that we just discussed.
The
Otherwise,
news ones, but I mean, the strategy I'm hitting correctly.
yeah, and then that's a key thing, right? The key thing is hitting the strategy correctly, because a lot of the times the strategy has a high enough win rate that in the future, or there's the win rate's high enough that if you do take this risk, the odds of it hitting are still very likely. Like I think, if you looked at all the entries for today, there were 7 entries that hit. Go figure, the one that I take that's actually not at red flag is the one that doesn't work out, but everything else hit even though they were at red flags.
Well,
So
you talked about that today. The one thing that on the one that you took, and I don't remember what time it was at, and that's the weird thing on my chart. For some reason, it's not normally it saved the arrows of where I went in and and I would have just shared it with you, but it for some reason didn't save my entry and exit on it. I don't know why, but and it has in the past. But anyhow, the one that you took today, as I recall, the trend candle was actually a big ass candle, and those ones I've noticed that there's a higher failure rate on those.
exactly, yeah, no, definitely. That was my bad. So I think that entry that I took today, it was more of like I was just kind of fear of missing out, because like I saw these entries coming up and I was like, this thing is moving pretty nice. So I'm pretty sure this one's gonna push with it too. But that was a bad call on my part, where I could have just avoided this one, because yeah, that candle was huge. This one was like, a 100-point candle basically, or 200-point candle actually. And I should have been smarter about that move. So it is what
And
it
then
is.
the next one I took that I actually lost on was at 1208.
Oh, okay, that one's pretty late. Yeah. So let's look at this one first. This is the one that you were talking about, right? The one at 8:05.
7.
Yeah. Or
I
yeah,
got in at 805. No, I got in at 807.21 and I got out at 808.53.
gosh, okay. I think for yours here, you got in a little later, which is fine. You know, sometimes it just happens, like you just don't get in right on time. And then if price does kind of bounce around a little bit, you'll still have opportunity to get in
All right, so
late.
hold on. I want to go back to where you're saying I got in late because I want to see what I did wrong. So I saw the opposite candle was at 8:04,
Yep, that's correct.
and then it confirmed below at 8:05,
That's
which is
correct.
when I got in.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 807. So
I did, but I had to recheck it. I went and looked. I got in at oh no, you're right. I did. I got in at 8:07:21.
yeah, so that one, like, yeah, the entry should have been at the close of this one, the 805. So like your entry should have been at 806. But it was okay because like I said, you know, sometimes the candle won't move on the actual entry, and that looks like where you made your entry from the following one.
Now
So,
that you say that, you know what? I put the order in, and I don't think the order got filled
oh, okay, gotcha. Are you doing?
because the close was 6:26,
Yes.
and that one went below 6:26. And but I think by the time I probably got my order in, I don't know. I'm not getting my orders in quickly because after we go through that, that's one of my next questions. Um, because I mean the confirmation candle was a 6:26, and I got in exactly at that price point, so it had to come back and fill me. So the number was okay, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Your number was good. So I think what you're doing is you're putting limit orders or pending orders, which is okay in a situation where market doesn't necessarily drop very quickly. Like, luckily for this one, you were able to like, you know, get in. But in a lot of situations, it moves so fast, like after the entry, that it just dumps and you're like, it's too late to make entry. So yeah, again, there's gonna be some situations like this where your entry happens and the candle doesn't really do anything the following one, and then you'll have opportunity for it to kind of bounce back and forth, and then your order will get filled. But for
So
me,
are you doing market orders when you do it?
yeah, I'm doing market orders. I'm just counting down to like the last second, and then when it gets to that 1 second mark, I hit my sell order there and I get in right away.
Okay, well, that just answered my question because okay, I can do that. I mean, right now I'm still trading on TradingView.
Mhm.
So now I understand how you're getting in so quickly. Okay, that's going to be a big game changer for me. But I had the strategy. Okay.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're perfect on that. Like you were trying to get in at the at that proper candle, but you just ended up getting in a little later because you had the pending order. So I typically do is I look for, so see how we have the counter right here on the right side.
Yeah, I have it down on the bottom right.
Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah. So what I do is I look for this currently I got 10 seconds. When it counts down to the last 10 seconds, I'll usually wait for like five, four, three, two. And when it gets to one, I hit market and then I'm usually in like exactly where I need it to be because it gives me that split second to hit market and then it fills as soon as that candle closes. So
Where's your counter at?
my counter is right here. It's like right where price is at. Well, it's not there now. Let me refresh it. I think the market might be closed right now. Okay, so here we go. It's right here on the right side. It's like where price is exactly.
How do I do that on mine?
Um, hmm. This is like the default settings. I'm not sure where, let's see. Yeah, because I've never changed it before. So
Maybe I'm just dumb.
let's see. You said yours is on the bottom, right?
Well, all I'm doing on mine is I'm looking at, oh, yeah, guess what? It's right there. I see it.
Okay, yeah, because I don't think you can change. Well, I mean, you probably could change it, but yeah, it's usually like right on the wherever price is currently at. So I usually look at that counter and I wait until it gets down to the last 10 seconds. And then usually at that 1 second mark, I just hit the buy market or sell market. And then it gives you enough time to get in exactly when that candle closes. You just got to kind of time it a little right. Um, and then that's how I get in like at exact price and exact time. Otherwise, if you wait for the candle to close, then you might get in a little like, you know, split second later, and that's not going to be in your, well, sometimes it'll be in your favor, sometimes it wouldn't. But yeah, I mean the pending orders work like you're using. It's just I don't like using them sometimes because it doesn't get me in sometimes, and I'll just miss the trade.
And I missed several of them today, which is fine. Okay, so let me tell you the next one and tell me what I did wrong, if I did something wrong, or if it was just a losing trade. Um,
Is that 12:0? Is it
I
12
gotta
something?
look it back up here. 12:08:49.
Eight. Okay. So looking at this here, 12:08:49. Okay, so you got it. It looks like a bit late, or no, you're right. Okay, so looking at this here, it's at a red flag. Your entry would actually happen on the previous candle right here at 12:06. You got in at 12:08, so you got in like a candle later.
I did, and that was part of my order fill thing. But even if I'd have gotten in at that 12:06, that the close was
180.
183.
Yeah. This still would be avoided because it's at a red flag. See how it's at the sessions right here, the New York high? Um,
Yeah, yeah, brilliant.
yeah, and it works the same way, like, whether it touches it from the bottom, whether it touches it from the top. Whenever price gets near these sessions, it typically will be, what I consider a red flag in a manipulation area. You can kind of go back and see, like over here, the last time it touched it, did the same thing. Price gets to that point. Sometimes it'll come above it, but then it typically just comes right back down. And I think that might have been where you got caught. So the entry, let's see, entry's right there. Yeah, and it does that exactly right. So like right
It
here.
bounced right off that New York high and came back down.
Exactly. So what it looked like right here, this is like a buyer's trap. So price closed above it, and then typically when price closes above a structure like this, a lot of people they use this as a resistance point, right? So they see price break above it, and they're like, okay, if this is the case, they think price is going to push up. But this here is a buyer's trap because what happens is it pushes up a little bit to make people think that it's pushing up.
Wait,
But
tell me where it closed above it because I'm not seeing that.
yeah, it closed above it right here at the 12:03 candle. So it slightly closed above it right there.
Above which one?
The session right here, the New York high. New York high is at 43,162.
My 12:03 candle closed at 165.
Yeah, that's correct. So that's what you asked, right? Which one closes above it?
I did, but my candle isn't, my candles, the weird thing is my New York high shows 162, but my green line, that dotted line that should be in coercion with that, or whatever the word
Yeah. Is
is, at 43,196.
96. Well, that's off.
Because it's supposed to be the green dotted line, right?
Yeah, that's weird because price doesn't actually even get that high. Like there's actually no price up there. Like price never got to that point. That's kind of weird. You said it was at 196?
Yeah.
Weird, yeah. Because I'm looking over here and it doesn't look like price was ever up there for the day. Yeah.
Well, actually, when I reset my view, it's showing New York high at 43,196.
Weird. Or oh, did you not replay it? Let me see. Because price might have gotten higher, but that was after. Yeah, no, because so what happened? That's where the
I see. I didn't do it on replay. I follow. Okay.
yeah, because it was at that point in time they
That's
never did
that's
that.
why they were discombobulated. I gotcha.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. So
Okay, so there you answered most of those questions, and again, I'm gonna keep it pretty short, but are there any other confluences that you use to say, okay, this is a good one or a bad one that I should put in there, or should I just kind of, now that I can actually get in a trade the right way, I think I'm fully understanding it. I mean, I went back on some of the ones because I've done a bunch of replays and even stuff I shared with Barack, and I'm like, okay, well, I see where I fucked this one up. I see where I did that one. Um, so I mean, because right now for me, I avoid the big trend candle. Those those make me nervous because I've seen more failures on those. And then I'm avoiding going into any of the highs. If my take profit is into one of those highs, I'm staying away from it. Clearly, I didn't do it on this one, but and I think that one was I just probably got a little excited because I sat back down and I'm like, oh shit, I can see this one. I've had a great day. Let's just add to it.
Yeah, that typically is the case usually. Like you see so many of them hit, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna take the next one, and then that one that you take ends up not working out. So yeah, back to your question. The main things that I typically look for, which I don't think they're necessary, it's mainly on my end because I like to be um very conservative with my entries. For you personally, I wouldn't really use them too much, but if you do want to use them, I usually look for balances. So like there's a couple different things that I look for. I look for bounces off structure. So looking at this right here, you can kind of see how price bounces off the pivot. This kind of indicates that, okay, we have a price push to the upside, retrace, and then it's going to likely push up higher. So if you're taking a buy somewhere like that, it gives me confidence in the position. That's like one of them. I use the pivots here. Another thing that I use sometimes is, or for the most part now, is market profile. I don't know if you want to use it. It's not like super necessary, but it does help me because I like to use multiple confluences. So like if you want to just use one confluence, you can use the pivots for bounces. If you want to use another confluence, you can use this thing called market profile. I can show you how to use it if you want to, but if you think this is like too much for you right now, then you can kind of just stick to the basics. But yeah, I use the pivots.
So look, you're the coach here. You tell me, should I just stick with it and add the market structure later? Because right now I'm still on a evaluation account, which is actually in the positive, which is the first time ever that I've traded that's in the positive. So I'm getting there. I mean, I didn't hit my 2 weeks of profitability, but the first 2 weeks after we did our class, I was traveling, so I'm not stressing over that. Um, I should I'm thinking I might should add it later and just kind of stick with what I'm doing, especially with the win rate. But you tell me, you're the coach.
Yeah. So I think you should stick to what you're doing now, get a little better, just keep building that foundation, and then in the future add more tools and analysis to add on to your win rate. Because right now I think you're doing perfect. You're learning at a speed where things aren't confusing you. So for a lot of people, this will like, you throw too much information at someone and they're all over the place. But for you, you have the strategy down. So I think you should just keep doing what you're doing, especially in this type of market. I feel like in this market even though you did take trades at red flags, a lot of those trades they still hit. Like your first two entries, they hit, even though they're trades that I would have avoided. So I would say stick to what you're doing, and then we could probably meet up again, like in a week or two. If
I'm good
you're
with that. It's going to be at least two because I leave tomorrow, and that's why when I sent you an email, I'm like, you got time before Thursday because I fly out to Fort Worth tomorrow, and then I'm there through Sunday, and then I'm home Monday, Tuesday, and then I fly to Vegas. So,
oh man, you're all over the place too. Yeah, no,
well,
I
it's
want.
part of it's my job. So I'm just, but I think, and again, I'm being real. I'm positive today. My net positive is why isn't it showing me today?
It probably reset for the new day because whenever it moves on to the next day, it doesn't show you the net positive for the previous day.
That's really odd.
The day shifts over at like 3 o'clock, so that might have been the case. It just wiped it out and then it's probably back to zero.
It's really funny. Anyhow, my net positive for today, because I recorded it somewhere else, was just a little bit over $250.
Nice, that's solid. Yeah, no, that's good. If you can do that every day, or it doesn't even have to be every day, if you do it every like couple days.
Well, that was on one contract. I literally traded one contract. Now it's going to take me a little while to fund my account. So what I've got, I at least have a winning day underneath me, and honestly, it's my first winning day. So um, I'm okay with that. And because I mean, you recommend trade 5 accounts. If I'd done 5 accounts, I have the thing funded in 3 days.
Exactly. Yeah, no, definitely.
Well,
Yeah.
that's assuming no losses.
Yeah. No, and it's good to have these winning days because these winning days give you that confidence that you go in tomorrow feeling great. If you're coming off a loss, you're gonna feel a little scared to take trades, but now that you've had those good trades for the day, even though they weren't like, 100%. you can go in tomorrow feeling more confident and I guess more dialed in, when you do see the entries.
Yeah, Brock killed it again today.
Yeah, I know he's like I feel like he does a lot of stuff off kind of like intuition because he'll take the trades, but he don't think twice about it. But I mean, yeah, he's been killing it. He locked in some pretty good wins on those MPS V2s today. I think he locked in like 7,000, I believe. Or I think he posted more.
He's a pretty. He posted one more. He's pretty cool dude. Like he says it because I asked him what other confluences he used, and he says it depends on what the market is offering. Sometimes I require no confluence. Sometimes I need more than just three confluence. I'd say truthfully, I'm evolving with the market, just like you, taking what it gives and looking for your edge in it. Chart time and consistency.
Exactly.
Consistently losing does that to you. He said chart time and consistently losing does that to you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's exactly how it works for me too. It's like, you take enough losses and you just keep like thinking like, why did I do that? Why did I do that? And then you realize like, okay, these are the confluences I need, or these are the confluences that I don't need. Because a lot of times if you have too many confluences, then you just won't take any trades, right? You get this thing called, trade paralysis or
I
analysis.
was going to call it analysis paralysis, but yep.
Yeah. And if you think about it too much, a lot of times you're just going to skip the entry and you're going to be like, damn, missed like 4 or 5 entries just because I was too scared or too careful or too afraid to take these entries there. So,
All right, that's cool. I'm feeling pretty good about it. A week or two, we'll get back together. Here's my next question, and again, I do simple math pretty well.
mhm.
And if you're taking 10 contracts, which is your average trade, and you're getting 30 points on them, because that's your TP, right? It's 30.
Mhm.
Um, that's like 3 grand, correct?
It's about 1,500 for 10 contracts. So,
Zuko, stop or Boo, stop. I took one contract and I got 100 times 10,000. Okay, I'm with you, 1,000. But if you're trading 50 accounts
mhm.
and you win on a take profit, how is that only a 20,000 or a $6,000 win?
Oh, it's because well, if you look at the trades that I posted, it's not all the accounts. It's only like 20.
Okay,
There's only because it takes for me to add all, yeah, so you can see over here there's like 29 accounts that were right there. Not all of them are going to be taking 10 contracts. So the only accounts that take 10 contracts are my Apex accounts, and then my personal account takes 10 contracts as well. My Tradeify accounts right now, currently they're taking a little bit smaller, and my Purdy account takes like one contract. So the thing with this here is that with this specific win that I took yesterday, I was using like trailing stop. So I do have a 30/30 TP stop loss, but my trailing stop is at 20. What happened was like there was like a bunch of slippage. It went to 20 points. My stop loss got moved in profit, and then it came down like really sharply. So instead of closing me out at 20 points, it closed me out at like I think like 15 or something like that. So it was a little less than what it should have been. But I'm thinking,
I just figured you said you were trying to hit $100,000 a month. I'm thinking, wait a minute. I know he trades 50 accounts,
mhm.
so that some of them he may not just be posting. So
Yeah, exactly. Because this was only for a couple of the accounts. So it should have been double this basically, like closer to 40 because I'd have to add in all the hedge accounts um and then
which you
all the
don't need to share with us. I was just curious, but because I'm doing the math, I'm like, wait, I think he's actually doing more than that, but that's not what he's putting out there.
Yeah. I'm just lazy, honestly, because in order for me to add those hedge accounts, I have to log into them one by one. And, it's just going to take me forever to log into like 20 separate logins at once just to like add that number on there. I usually do that at the end of the month so I can have everything added in. But yeah, I mean, I should be hitting that goal probably by the end of the week if we have like a good day tomorrow and a good day on Friday, hopefully.
It's huge, man. I'm like I said, I told Barack this today. And again, I was very non-intrusive when I asked him. I said, hey, do you mind if I ask a question? He said, no, not at all. And I said, again, I must have said it 4 times, dude, I don't want to be a pain in the ass. I don't want to be any of that kind of stuff. But he was chatting pretty, and I told him at some point in time, I was like, what the hell did I say? Oh, well, it's not that big a deal. I basically, I was like, this is the first time in any trading I've ever done where I actually feel like I'm understanding something and it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a
He
lot.
wanted to make sure I wasn't strategy hopping. Oh,
Mhm.
I do have a question. Um he talked about large candles. We talked about that, and I'm just curious your thoughts on it. He said what he does before he'll take an entry if it's a large trend candle is wait for like a 50% retracement before he gets into the trade. So I'm guessing he's waiting for the if it's like let's say a large green candle, he wants the red candle to retrace halfway back down through that large green candle that's the trend candle. Is that what that means?
Yeah, yeah, I taught him that a long time ago. I use that too as well. So like say for example, say we had this huge red candle right here, right?
Like the one you got in this morning.
Yeah, yeah, like that kind of screwed me because so let me go there real quick to that candle. Um, well, it kind of screwed me because I was going off that same analysis. It didn't it came down to the 50 like he does. So usually what happens when you get a big candle like this is price will retrace back a little bit, and that's kind of what he looks for too, right? 50% of the candle, which is
Mhm.
basically like right here. So what tends to happen is price will retrace down like this. And then when it gets down to that 50% mark, one of two things typically happens. It either corrects back up and then it typically will just continue climbing, or price will do a full-on reversal and it'll just keep dropping from there. And that's why he waits for that 50% mark because and then that's why I took this entry too, because I was like, okay, price retrace to the 50% mark. If it pushes back to this area that I'm expecting it to break through and continue climbing. And that's where
You
I
had to have gotten close to your friggin' profit target on it
Yeah, I think so. I think I got to like 15 points. And then
because right here, this you can't see me pointing, dumbass. The candle right next to the red one. What was the close on it?
you're talking about this one right here?
Yeah,
Or
because that's your entry can. Oh no, that one didn't close above. Never mind. You were right
yeah,
where you were. I got you.
if it closed above, it would have been perfect, right? If this was the case and this was the entry, that would have been perfect. For this one over here, this is where I got my entry. And I kind of screwed up on this one too because I also went against, my rules, where if the candle's too big, I just don't take it, right? But like I said, I just screwed
So
up
are
too.
you talking the entry candle was too big?
Yeah, entry candle
Okay.
is too big right here. Usually, like I've talked about this on the live, I say, if the candle's too big, then what's going to happen a lot of times is you're going to see that 50% retracement or a full-on reversal that like we just, discussed with what Barack says. And that's exactly what happened here. Price came down. I mean, it went up a decent amount. So it went up like 15 points, but it didn't reach the 20 that I was aiming for. And if
Oh,
I
I
would have
thought you were still working the 30-30. I had 30-30 today.
Oh yeah, yeah, no. I usually do 30. Well, I do 30-30, but then I have my trailing stop at the 20.
Gotcha.
So what happens is like when price does reach that 20, my stop loss gets moved in profit to the 20, and then I can go further the full 30, or I can just like move this up even higher and just let it run pretty much. The reason I've been doing that is because if you look at all the previous entries, like all of these have been hitting like way more than 30 points, right? Like this was a 60 point or basically a 100-point move right there. Same with the buy over here. This thing came up, and this was like another 100-point move right there. So what I was trying to do in this situation was if this was going to happen, I was going to move my stop loss in profit at the 20 right here, where I have it automatically move in profit, and then try to ride this up a little further. But for whatever reason, this ended up not playing out with my specific entry, but it ended up doing it with everything else. So it's just my shot at luck. It's just like bad luck for that specific entry.
That was again. So let me ask just because I want to put this into my database, my head. What do you consider too big of a candle? Like the one that you said the entry was too big of a candle. How many points is too big of a candle?
So anything more than 30. The thing with the market that we're currently in right now is that it seems like almost every candle will be bigger than 30, right? So usually it's going to be around 30, bigger than your stop loss.
Okay.
But in a situation like this, it would probably be 50 because because these candles are too big. Even so, this is still bigger than 50, and it still would have been a way too big of a candle. But 30 is like the threshold. Usually, you just don't want your stop loss to be bigger than you don't want the candle to be bigger than your stop loss. But if you look at all these candles here, every candle has been pretty huge. So that whole thought process behind it doesn't necessarily apply in this specific market. It's just doing this because of like what's happening with the tariffs. But a month ago this wasn't happening. Like typically your stop loss would be bigger than the previous candle, and you wouldn't have to run into that situation.
All right. Well, I'm feeling comfortable with the strategy. I mean, and I've even done replay. I mean, I've done shit I've never done. I'm pretty pleased with that. I'm hoping I'm gonna really kind of dial it in and then we'll just keep going and learn more to be able to identify more. So, but I'm one step at a time for me.
Yeah, exactly. You're doing good. I mean, you're doing great so far. So you've been with me for like, about a month, I think, and you're making strides and you're finding profitability. And I think that's the best part. I think now it's really just, repeating the process, getting better at identifying red flags and stuff like that. And then in the future, obviously you'll have more confluences and then hopefully more accounts by then. So you can just multiply. Like your $200 day today would be times 20, that'd be like 4,000, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And if I wasn't such a fucking pussy and I did 5 accounts, I mean that's a big day, right? Or five
exactly.
contracts, not even 10. So and that's literally two winning trades and you walk away. So it'll get there. I'm trying not to put too much pressure on myself because like I said, I'm finally feeling
Mhm.
that I understand something that actually fucking works.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the key thing. And there's so many strategies out there, and I'm pretty sure people are killing it doing other stuff. But once you find something that works well for you, it's really just drilling down on that specific type of trading style and strategy, and then just getting better with your confluences and your red flags. And from there, you just start to multiply contract sizes and account size and account numbers. And from there, you're just going to keep multiplying.
All right. So last quick question for you, and I'll let you get out of here. Do you are you happen to be a golfer by any chance?
I do golf, but I'm not a big golfer. I can golf. I'm just not. I'm not good enough to. I don't play enough to be good at it. Are you?
Well, do you enjoy it at all?
Yeah, no, definitely enjoy it.
So look on the number I have is like not your it's like a Google number or something, right? Because it don't come to your computer.
Yeah, it's a because I have like instead of having two cell phones, it's just another number that's added to my cell phone.
Which is fine, but it doesn't come through. There's a if you have interest and there's obviously no hold on, where the fuck is it? Give me a second. It texts me all the time. There it is. I'll just email it to you because I can't do it through my phone. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No, let's see.
if you have if you have any interest, it's not far from you. Um, and I promise you it's not about being good because I'm not. But a guy that I do stuff with down in Southern California has a company called Loud Golf, which is what I just emailed you. That tournament. If you're around, you have any desire to play, it's pretty good fucking networking and they're fun. They I mean they're fun tournaments.
Nice, nice. Yeah, no, I'll definitely take a look at that. You said Loud Golf.
Yeah, I just emailed you. Emailed you the details on the tournament.
Okay, cool. I'll,
But you can follow him on Instagram too. LAWD Golf. Um, he it's like I said, he's a guy that does social media stuff for me. He does video and still photography and all kinds of stuff, but he's done it for my company down there for my Long Beach terminal.
Mhm.
And we've developed pretty good but good relationship. So I can go to any of the tournaments and he don't charge me.
Nice.
And they're pretty fun. Like, I don't know, you're in where are you exactly?
I'm in Irvine. So
Okay,
like
so
Irvine, yeah,
he works a lot with Pa restaurant. You ever heard of it?
possibly. What kind of food is it?
Mexican.
Oh yeah, I think I've heard of it. Yeah. We've tried like pretty much all the Mexican places around here, so I'm pretty sure I've been to that one.
Um, you'll see they're one of the sponsors, I'm sure, on this golf tournament because they sponsor all. They're one of his bigger sponsors.
Nice.
Um,
Okay, well, yeah. I'll check them out. It looks fun. I'm looking at their page right now. It looks like a great time.
it's a lot of fun. So if you got any interest, let me know because I'll have a 4-man team for it. So
Nice, nice. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I'll step up on my golf in a little bit and then I'll probably check this place out. This looks pretty nice. It's pretty dope.
the which one, the loud golf.
Yeah, the loud golf. Yeah, it's pretty
So
cool.
what he does is he puts tournaments on, and then this particular tournament's at Pelican Hill.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, I just saw it. March 27th. It's coming
Yep.
up.
So anyhow, all right, man. Hey, thank you very much. It looks like you added. We've been adding a few people every day into the Discord. It looks like.
I'm hoping they're real people. I'm not adding them in. Like I don't even know how they find me. I think it's just through mutual talk and people who mention the group. But yeah, people are joining. Seems like I just don't know where they're coming from. I hope they're not scamming. Like, those the fake pages and stuff like that. Um, they seem legit though. There's a couple people who've been joining and they've been active in the chat, so I'm assuming they're real. But yeah, it's been good. I mean, this is all the word of mouth. Really, I'm not really doing any advertising or anything like that. So.
You still have some sponsored stuff that I'm seeing on Instagram.
Yeah, I think that's like the old stuff that's kind of just been running. Like I have some stuff that just that's been running for like I guess a couple months now.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think that's the only stuff that's running. But for the most part, you haven't done anything new. I guess I should probably get back on that since I'm kind of
Hey,
okay.
you do whatever. I mean, I can tell you, I've only talked to so far. I've only talked to Barack, um, but yeah, oh, somebody had their first winning day.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I've seen like some of the new people in the group and it's crazy because a lot of these people aren't even really they don't even use the tools. They're kind of just there on the live session following and still killing it. So I think even with the delay, the analysis does help a lot, especially if they know what to look for and they can just point it out.
Who's CJ?
CJ's been around for a while too. So CJ's been in the group since I think as long as Barack. So CJ's another person in the group that's been around from the beginning. Uh, and CJ's been killing it too. I think today CJ doesn't really post profits very much. I know CJ's killing it, but and you'll see CJ talking about it in the chat. But
I
oh
was
yeah.
just trying to figure out who he's talking to because it says, "Congrats on your first winning day, Mike. Even if it's one contract, that's a big deal. Keep going. Don't let a loss make you slip into analysis paralysis."
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's because our live stream is being streamed on the YouTube too.
Oh, this is?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
So, so I have to stream it on there to record it for you, so you can review it in the future. So it just automatically streams on there, and then whoever kind of sees it, they hop into it.
that's funny. I didn't realize that. I'm not a, I didn't have no idea.
Yeah, yeah. I only do it to get that link. Like last time we met up, and you get the link, and I just send it to you right after. Otherwise, like it's like a longer process where I have to like upload it and edit it and stuff like that. So this just pretty much gives a stream automatically. And I think CJ's watching, and they probably saw that she had those wins for today, and that's why CJ mentioned it.
Oh, right on. All right, man. Well, hey, thanks very much. I'll talk back with you.
Yeah, definitely, Mike. Good talking to you.